Hi, welcome to Module 3. This is the introduction to this unit titled Teaching Strategies for Students in the Primary Grades. So I thought for this course in particular, when we discuss gifted education, that we take a special look into, I believe, the differences that are associated with grade level. Primary education is the foundational steps towards diagnosing gifted education, as well as putting in the services to best meet the student's giftedness. So I felt that it was very important to separate the two. So Module 3 will focus in on primary grades, and then a couple of modules later, about I believe it's Module 6, we'll get into middle and high school, which I think are completely different in how they deal with or how they support gifted education, because obviously the dynamics are different. Within primary education, the students are in one classroom setting, and they have one instructor that creates the foundational elements of education for them in one area, as opposed to middle and high school, when they start the separation, and also content starts to, I would say, evolve into specialty areas that the students can gravitate more towards as with their giftedness. So with this module, I thought it was really important to not just provide you with text, but also video, and have discussions around what it means to be a gifted educator in primary education levels. So for the first start of this, let's go over a few things. So as I just stated, this level of education serves as a critical step in gifted education. There are a few things primary educators need to consider as they begin the process of diagnosing giftedness. So I'm not sure exactly how your school's process and procedures go in regards to diagnosing students as gifted, but our guidance manual that we'll be using throughout, let me just move it over, throughout this module kind of gives us a brief kind of step 2 of what we should and what we shouldn't be doing in regards to gifted education for the primary level. So I really like this manual because it, even though it is a little bit older, it still addresses the same issues. So to get us started, let me just move this over a little bit. And so there are a couple of things in this module that we will cover in a general way, but I wanted to provide this provision to you so that you can use it as a resource in your particular setting, especially if you don't have provisions currently for your primary education level, if you are a primary education teacher, in regards to gifted education. So with that being stated, the content first begins with identification in that process, and that's pretty much what this slide goes over, and then it goes into curriculum entitlement and choice, assessments for learning, and then, sorry, it moves a little bit faster than my finger, and then, oh, stop that. And then the other areas after assessment for learning, organizing the school, which is more or less the administrative level. We won't really get into that, but you can feel free to go over it. And then strong partnerships beyond the school. So we will look a little bit into that. But feel free to download and save this file, as it was a free access. And I think it's really resourceful. But the first thing is, I thought it was critical for us to kind of review the identification process. So this will be a good time if you are in a position where you're teaching gifted students. Ask your administrative staff, if you haven't already, ask for access to how you identify gifted students. So here it says identification of gifted and talented pupils should be a continuous whole school process, which is fair and transparent, does not discriminate against particular groups, and is flexible enough to include pupils who join the school partway through the academic year or are late or early developers. So I think as we venture into primary grades and what it means to diagnose gifted students, I thought this was a critical phrase or critical quote from this provision, this document, because it seems to me that at this level, the teachers' perspectives and also the way in which their ideas regarding gifted education are developed play a huge role in the diagnosing of gifted students. So it's important for you to remember that it's not a one and done deal, that it actually is a process that continues throughout the duration of the student's experience in primary education and beyond. So the goal here is that it's flexible and also that it's fair and transparent, so students are aware of what conditions define giftedness and talented within your school environment. So in particular for this module, just getting back on track before I go into the actual lecture of the module, which is coming up shortly. But in this unit, the objectives were four things: to make sure you as educators know advanced learning needs of gifted primary students, how to use differentiation strategies for gifted learners, benefits that will enable all of them to learn. Sorry, that's a poorly stated objective. I'll fix that in a moment. But the key thing is that your differentiation strategies are addressing all the needs of gifted students, not just a few of them. And then successful classroom management strategies for primary grades, and then engaging with families of gifted primary students. So it's pretty much the four areas that I told you we would explore, and not the organizing the school, because at the teacher level, unless you're an academic coach, may be something you don't have access to, but you can always provide recommendations for. So our reading is article number 3, Effective Provision for Gifted and Talented Children by Department for Children Schools. So I thought this was a great resource for us to use, and a quote that I thought was super awesome, taken from the resources, that this guidance is an updated version of the initial guidance published in October 2006, which set out general principles for primary schools to follow in order to plan and deliver effective provision for gifted and talented learners. So I think overall there should be a consensus as to what defines gifted education, and also how do we provide provisions for gifted learners. And I thought this was a great manual to kind of implement into what you already have, and maybe something that's similar, and maybe something that you've seen before, but going into detail with it in this module I think will be critical, especially if you're considering becoming a gifted educator or getting certification in that area. This might be resourceful to you later on. Finally, the learning outcomes for this module includes 5 things. So I would like for you to be able to apply the following skills: approaches to creating a broad and balanced curriculum for gifted students at the primary grade level, use of assessments and recording and planning for exceptional performance for gifted students, how to differentiate instruction for gifted primary grade level students, and then how to understand gifted behaviors as they impact classroom management, and how to plan for differentiating instruction prior to beginning a unit or topic. So hopefully you've already started, or you've completed, we're in module 3, you've completed the collaborative effort, the collaborative group work, because that would have really helped you with the last 2. Especially if you're a primary educator, the obvious thing would be for you to take your grade level and try to create a curriculum plan. Curriculum plans are great because they actually are the outline for the rest of the year, and that's really how most of the curriculum tools are designed. You have a plan, and then you pick out the units as you proceed throughout the year. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll have a better skill development in how to do that, and you'll also be able to integrate some of these things that you learn on your own, because most of the time the curriculum plans are designed for general education students, and they don't take into account gifted students. So you may have to do some of these activities on your own, and if so, this could provide a resource for you because it shows you how to provide provisions for gifted students. Okay, well, that's it for the introduction. If you have any questions, stay tuned to the actual lecture. There are a few in this module because I'm trying to split it up to make sure you get all the content that you need to support your development in this area, particular for gifted students. So also feel free to join me Monday through Friday in the Zoom or email or call if you have any questions that are not answered in the lecture. Have a great day.